The glass of champagne slipped from Marcus Sterling's hand, shattering against the marble floor of the Waldorf Astoria's grand ballroom. His steel-grey eyes locked onto a woman across the room, a woman who should have been impossible to see. Helena Rodriguez Sterling, his ex-wife, stood gracefully in a stunning emerald gown, but that wasn't what made his heart stop. 6 identical children, each no more than 4 years old, clung to her dress, their tiny voices calling out, "Mommy," in perfect unison. "Don't forget to smash that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We're racing to 10,000 subscribers, and your support makes all the difference." Let's dive into this shocking story that will leave you speechless. Marcus's world tilted on its axis. The doctors had been clear Elena was infertile. It was the reason their 5-year marriage had crumbled into bitter divorce proceedings. The reason he'd walked away from the only woman he'd ever loved. The reason he'd convinced himself that leaving her was mercy, not cruelty. Sir, are you all right?" His assistant, James, appeared at his side, concerned by his boss's sudden pallor. Marcus couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. The children, all 6 of them, had his eyes. That distinctive sterling grey that had been passed down through generations of his family. But how was this possible? Eleanor sensed his stare and turned. Their eyes met across the crowded charity gala, and her face drained of all colour. She instinctively pulled the children closer, and Marcus watched as fear flickered across her features. The same fear he'd seen the day he'd handed her the divorce papers. "Mommy, who is that man?" one of the children asked, tugging at Elena's dress. Her voice carried across the room despite the ambient chatter. "No one important, sweetheart," Elena whispered, but her voice cracked. Marcus began moving through the crowd like a man possessed. Guests parted before him, sensing the intensity radiating from the billionaire tech mogul. His company, Sterling Industries, had just gone public, making him one of the youngest billionaires in America. But none of that mattered now. "Elena?" Her name fell from his lips like a prayer and a curse combined. She straightened her spine, that familiar defiance flashing in her dark eyes. "Marcus." The children stared up at him with curiosity, their small faces mirrors of his own childhood photographs. One little boy stepped forward boldly. "Are you a giant?" he asked innocently. "You're really, really tall." Despite everything, Marcus almost smiled. "What's your name?" "I'm Diego," the boy announced proudly. "And this is Sophia and Carlos and Isabella and Miguel and Rosa. We're sextuplets. That means we're 6 babies that came out of Mommy's tummy at the same time." Marcus's knees nearly buckled. The timeline fit perfectly. Elena disappeared 18 months after their divorce. He'd hired investigators, but they'd found nothing. She'd vanished like smoke, leaving behind only lawyers who handled the final paperwork. "Elena, we need to talk," Marcus said quietly, his voice barely controlled. "There's nothing to discuss," she replied, but her hands were shaking as she smoothed Diego's dark hair. "Those are my children." It wasn't a question. The nearest guests had begun to notice the tension. Whispers started spreading through the crowd like wildfire. Marcus Sterling, the notoriously private billionaire, was having a very public confrontation with a mysterious woman and 6 children. "Lower your voice," Elena hissed. "You gave up any right to call them yours. You lied to me." The words exploded from him before he could stop them. "You told me you were barren. The doctors said the doctors were wrong." Elena's composure cracked. "I found out I was pregnant 2 weeks after you walked out. 2 weeks after you told me our marriage was a failure because I couldn't give you an heir." The ballroom had gone eerily quiet. Even the orchestra had stopped playing. Marcus felt hundreds of eyes on them, but he couldn't look away from Elena's tear-filled gaze. "Mommy, why are you crying?" Sophia, a little girl with Elena's delicate features but Marcus's eyes, reached up to touch her mother's face. Helena knelt down, gathering all 6 children close. "It's okay, my loves. Sometimes grown-ups have big feelings." Marcus watched this woman he'd once loved beyond reason comfort their children, children he'd never known existed. The weight of 4 lost years crashed down on him. "You should have told me," he whispered. "Told you what?" Elena stood, her voice gaining strength. "That the man who divorced me because I was defective was about to become a father? That the same man who said he'd never want children with a broken woman was getting exactly what he claimed to want?" Each word hit Marcus like a physical blow. He remembered that conversation, their last fight before the divorce. He'd been cruel, saying things designed to hurt her, to make her hate him enough to let him go. He'd thought he was being noble, setting her free to find someone who could love her despite her supposed infertility. "I was trying to protect you," he said weakly. "From what? From love, from happiness?" Elena's laugh was bitter. "You protected me right out of your life, Marcus. And when I found out I was carrying your children, 6 of your children, I decided they deserved better than a father who saw their mother as damaged goods." Isabella, the shyest of the children, had been studying Marcus intently. She suddenly broke free from Elena's protective circle and walked directly to him. She reached up with her small hand and touched his face. "You have sad eyes like Mommy sometimes gets," she said softly. "Are you sad too?" Marcus looked down at this tiny person, his daughter, and felt his heart shatter completely. "Yes, Isabella. I'm very sad." "Why?" Such a simple question from a 4-year-old, but it cut to the core of everything. Marcus knelt down so he was at her eye level. "Because I made a terrible mistake a long time ago, and now I've missed watching you and your brothers and sisters grow up." Isabella considered this with the seriousness only children possessed. "Mommy says mistakes can be fixed if you're really, really sorry, and you try super hard." "Isabella, come here," Elena called, her voice strained. But Isabella surprised them both by wrapping her small arms around Marcus's neck in a spontaneous hug. "I think you should try super hard," she whispered in his ear. Marcus's eyes filled with tears, the first tears he'd shed since the day Elena left him. When Isabella pulled back, she smiled at him with pure innocence. "There, now you don't look so sad." The other children, emboldened by their sister's acceptance, began edging closer. Diego, the bold one, asked, "Are you famous?" "You look famous." "He's very famous, mijo," Elena said quietly. He's your father." The words hung in the air like a bomb waiting to explode. The children looked between Marcus and Elena with wide eyes, processing this information. "Our daddy?" Carlos asked uncertainly. "The daddy from the pictures Mommy hides?" Rosa added innocently. Elena's face went crimson. "Rosa." Marcus's heart clenched. "You have pictures of me?" The children asked about their father, Eleanor admitted reluctantly. "I wasn't going to lie to them about your existence." Miguel, who had been quietly observing, suddenly spoke up. "Why didn't you come see us before?" The question was delivered with such innocent directness that Marcus felt his world shift again. How could he explain the complexity of adult mistakes to a 4-year-old? "I didn't know you existed, son. If I had known." "You would have what?" Elena interrupted bitterly. "Paid child support while maintaining your distance? Sent birthday cards twice a year? I would have moved heaven and earth to be in their lives." Marcus stood, his voice carrying across the now silent ballroom. "Do you think so little of me that you believe I'd abandon my own children?" "You abandoned me easy enough," Elena shot back. "I thought I was setting you free." "From what? The burden of loving you? The terrible fate of being your wife?" Their argument was spiraling, and the children were beginning to look scared. Sophia started crying, which set off a chain reaction among her siblings. Marcus immediately knelt down again, his voice gentle. "Hey, it's okay. Mommy and Daddy are just talking loudly. Sometimes adults do that when they have big feelings." "Are you going to go away again?" Diego asked, his lower lip trembling. The question stopped Marcus cold. I don't want to." "Then don't," Isabella said simply. "Stay with us." Elena closed her eyes, and Marcus could see her internal struggle. When she opened them again, her voice was steady but tired. "It's not that simple, baby." "Why not?" Diego demanded with 4-year-old logic. "If he's our daddy and he wants to stay, why can't he?" Marcus looked at Elena, silently pleading. "I know I don't deserve it, but please, let me try to fix this. Let me be their father." "You can't just waltz back in after 4 years and expect what? To love my children? To want to make up for lost time?" Marcus's voice cracked. "Elena, I've missed everything. Their first words, first steps, first birthdays. I can't get that back, but I can be here for everything moving forward." The pain in his voice was raw, undeniable. Even Elena, armored as she was with years of hurt and anger, felt her resolve wavering. "It's not just about what you want, Marcus. They have a life now. Routines, friends, school. They don't need their world turned upside down by someone who might decide to leave again. I'm not going anywhere, Marcus said firmly. Not ever again. You said that before. On our wedding day, remember? Till death do us part. How did that work out? Marcus flinched. That was different. How? How was that different? Because I thought I was protecting you from a lifetime of disappointment. The doctor said you'd never have children. I saw how much that was destroying you. I thought if I left you could find someone else, someone who could give you the family you wanted. So you decided for me? You decided what I could and couldn't handle. I made a mistake. The words tore from his throat. I was 28 years old, scared out of my mind, and I made the worst decision of my life. But I can't take it back, Elena. I can only try to move forward. The children had been listening to this exchange with rapt attention, understanding more than either adult realized. Carlos, the most analytical of the six, stepped forward. Mommy, if Daddy was scared, that's okay, right? You always tell us it's okay to be scared sometimes. Elena looked down at her son, her heart breaking at his innocent wisdom. Yes, mijo, it's okay to be scared. And you tell us that when we make mistakes, we should say sorry and try to do better, Sophia added, wiping her tears. That's right. Miguel, the quietest one, spoke up. Daddy said he was sorry, and Isabella said he should try super hard. Maybe we should let him try. Marcus felt tears sliding down his cheeks as he listened to these children. His children advocate for him with the pure logic of innocence. They didn't know about the complexities of adult relationships, the depth of hurt that existed between their parents. They only knew that this man claimed to be their father, seemed sorry for his mistakes, and wanted to be part of their lives. Elena looked around at her 6 children, then back at Marcus. The ballroom full of people seemed to fade away, leaving only this small circle of family. They don't know you, she said quietly. You're a stranger to them. Then let me stop being a stranger, Marcus pleaded. I know I have no right to ask for anything from you, but please, for their sake, give me a chance to be their father. What if you change your mind? What if this novelty wears off, and you decide that 6 children are too much work? What if you meet someone else and want to start fresh? That will never happen. You can't guarantee that. Yes, I can. Marcus's voice was steady, certain. Do you know what I've done every night for the past 4 years, Elena? I've looked at our wedding photos. I've tortured myself with memories of what we had. I've compared every woman I've met to you, and they've all fallen short. You are the love of my life, and these children are living proof of that love. Eleanor's breath caught. Marcus, I'm not asking you to take me back. I know I destroyed that possibility. But please don't punish our children for my mistakes. They deserve to know their father. Rosa, who had been quietly studying both adults, suddenly announced, I think Daddy should come have dinner with us. Rosa, Elena started. No, Mommy, he looks hungry and sad, and you always say we should be nice to people who are sad. Diego nodded enthusiastically. Yeah, and he can meet Mr. Whiskers. Who's Mr. Whiskers? Marcus asked, grateful for the lighter turn in conversation. Our cat, Isabella said excitedly. Mommy found him when he was a baby kitten, just like she takes care of us when we're sad. The irony wasn't lost on Marcus. Even in this, Elena's nurturing nature shone through. She rescued broken things, stray cats, abandoned children, wounded hearts. Everyone except the man who'd broken her own heart. I don't think that's a good idea, Elena said carefully. Why not? Carlos challenged. You let Mrs. Peterson come for dinner, and she's not even family. Mrs. Peterson is our neighbor. But Daddy is family, Sophia insisted with 4-year-old logic. Right, Mommy. You said he was our daddy. Eleanor found herself trapped by her own honesty and her children's innocent reasoning. She looked at Marcus, seeing something in his eyes she'd never seen before, vulnerability. The Marcus she'd known had been confident to the point of arrogance, sure of his place in the world and his ability to control his destiny. This man looked broken, desperate, and utterly lost. One dinner, she said finally. That's all. The children erupted in cheers, and Marcus felt a wave of gratitude so intense it nearly knocked him over. Thank you, he whispered. Don't thank me yet, Elena replied. You have no idea what you're getting into. 6 4-year-olds at dinner is like managing a small army. Despite everything, Marcus smiled. I built a $1 billion company from nothing. How hard can 6 kids be? Elena's return smile was rueful. You're about to find out. As they prepared to leave the gala, Marcus realized he was walking away from a room full of New York's elite, abandoning networking opportunities that could be worth millions, and he didn't care even a little bit. For the first time in 4 years, he had something more important than business deals and profit margins. He had a chance to be a father. The ride to Elena's apartment in his limousine was a revelation. The children chatted non-stop, asking him questions about everything from his car to his watch, to whether he knew any superheroes. They were bright, curious, and utterly uninhibited in the way only children could be. Why is your car so big? Diego wanted to know. Sometimes I have to travel with lots of people for work, Marcus explained. What kind of work do you do? Isabella asked. I help make computer programs that other people use. Like games? Miguel perked up with interest. Sometimes games, but mostly programs that help businesses work better. That sounds boring, Rosa announced matter-of-factly, making Elena hide a smile. It can be, Marcus admitted, but it's also how I earn money to take care of people I love. The children digested this information solemnly. Carlos, ever the analyst, asked, Are you rich? Carlos? Elena scolded, embarrassed. It's okay, Marcus said. Yes, I am. Rich enough to buy a pony? Sofia asked hopefully. Sofia Elena Rodriguez. Elena's voice carried a warning. I'm just asking. Sofia protested. Marcus laughed, actually laughed, for the first time in years. We'll have to see about the pony. Marcus! Elena's tone warned him not to make promises he couldn't keep. I said we'll see, not yes, he defended. That's what parents say when they're not ready to commit, right? The word parents hung in the air between them. Parents, plural, as if they were a team. During the car ride, Marcus found himself studying each child, trying to memorize their individual quirks. Diego sat closest to him, boldly asking questions and occasionally reaching out to touch his expensive watch. Carlos studied the car's interior with scientific curiosity, asking about the technology. Isabella sat quietly, but kept stealing glances at him, as if trying to figure out if he was real. Miguel observed everything with quiet intensity. Rosa bombarded him with rapid-fire questions about his life, and Sofia changed seats 3 times, unable to decide where she wanted to sit. Do you have any pets? Rosa asked suddenly. No, I don't. Why not? I work a lot and pets need attention. Mr. Whiskers needs lots of attention, Diego informed him. He likes to sleep on people's faces. That sounds interesting. He only does it to people he loves, Isabella added seriously. So if he sleeps on your face, it means he picked you. I'll consider myself honored if that happens. Elena watched this exchange with mixed emotions. Marcus was being patient and genuine with the children, not talking down to them or dismissing their concerns. It reminded her of why she'd fallen in love with him in the first place, his ability to give his full attention to whatever mattered in the moment. Elena's apartment surprised him. He'd expected something small, cramped, struggling. Instead, he found a spacious, warmly decorated space in the Upper West Side, expensive real estate by any standard. How did you afford this place? He asked before he could stop himself. Eleanor's spine stiffened. I work, Marcus. I have a job. Doing what? I'm a pediatric nurse practitioner. I specialize in multiple births and high-risk pregnancies. Of course she did. She'd turned her own experience with the Sextuplets into a career helping other families. It was so perfectly Elena that Marcus felt another wave of love and regret crash over him. The apartment was a testament to Elena's organizational skills and maternal instincts. Every corner was child-proofed, every surface carefully considered for safety and functionality. Family photos covered the mantelpiece, birthdays, holidays, everyday moments of joy that Marcus had missed entirely. Daddy, come see our room. Diego grabbed his hand, pulling him down a hallway. The children's bedroom was a marvel of organization and creativity. 6 small beds arranged in a semicircle, each personalized with the child's favorite colors and characters. Toys were sorted into labeled bins, and a complex chart on the wall seemed to track everything from chores to bedtime routines. This is my bed, Isabella announced, pointing to one decorated with princess themes. And that's Diego's. He likes dinosaurs. Carlos likes space. Miguel likes cars, Rosa likes flowers, and Sofia likes everything. It's true, Sofia confirmed cheerfully. I can't decide what I like best, so I like it all. Marcus knelt down, taking in every detail. Best, so I like it all. Marcus knelt down, taking in every detail. The beds were arranged so the children could see each other, providing comfort and security. Nightlights were strategically placed, and a bookshelf overflowed with stories worn soft from frequent reading. This is amazing. Did Mommy help you decorate? We all helped, Carlos said proudly. Mommy says teamwork makes everything better. Your mommy is very wise. She's the best mommy in the whole world, Rosa declared with absolute certainty. I believe that, Marcus said quietly and meant it. Marcus noticed small details that spoke to Elena's thoughtfulness. A humidifier for dry nights, blackout curtains for better sleep, and a whiteboard where the children could draw pictures or practice writing their names. Each child's artwork was displayed prominently, making the room feel like a celebration of their individual personalities. Do you want to see our bathroom? Sophia asked excitedly. We have 6 toothbrushes. The bathroom was equally well organized, with color-coded towels, step stools at different heights, and a carefully arranged system that allowed 6 children to get ready efficiently. Mommy made us a schedule, Miguel explained, pointing to a laminated chart. So we don't fight about who goes first. Marcus marveled at Elena's ability to create order from what could have been chaos. She'd built a loving, structured environment for their children, managing alone what many couples struggled to handle together. Dinner was exactly the controlled chaos Elena had predicted. The children took turns telling Marcus stories about their lives, their friends, their favorite things. They spilled food, argued over who got to sit next to him, and peppered him with endless questions. Do you live in a big house? Miguel asked around a mouthful of mac and cheese. I live in an apartment, but it's pretty big, Marcus answered. Bigger than ours? Diego wanted to know. Probably. Does it have 6 bedrooms? Isabella asked with childish hope. The question hit Marcus like a punch to the gut. It has 4 bedrooms. Oh! Her disappointment was palpable. So we couldn't all have our own room if we visited? Marcus's throat tightened. We could figure something out. Elena intervened smoothly. Isabella, eat your dinner. And everyone, stop interrogating your father. Their father. She'd said it so naturally, and Marcus felt his heart skip. As they ate, Marcus learned more about his children's personalities. Diego was indeed the negotiator, trying to convince Elena that dessert should come before vegetables. Just this once because Daddy's here. Carlos asked thoughtful questions about nutrition and why certain foods were good for growing bodies. Isabella ate carefully, making sure not to spill on her dress. Miguel listened more than he spoke, but when he did contribute, his observations were surprisingly insightful. Rosa told elaborate stories about her day at preschool, complete with dramatic reenactments. Sophia changed her mind about what she wanted to drink 3 times during the meal. What's your favorite food, Daddy? Rosa asked suddenly. Marcus realized he didn't know how to answer. His meals were usually business lunches or takeout eaten at his desk. I'm not sure. What's yours? Pizza. Diego shouted immediately. Ice cream, Sophia added. Mommy's spaghetti, Isabella said quietly. Apples, Miguel said simply. Chocolate cake, Rosa declared. Vegetables, Carlos said seriously, making everyone laugh. Carlos actually likes vegetables, Elena explained to Marcus's surprised expression. He read a book about nutrition and decided his body needed proper fuel to grow strong. Marcus looked at his youngest son with amazement. You read books about nutrition? Carlos nodded solemnly. I want to be tall like you. The simple statement hit Marcus harder than any business negotiation ever had. These children wanted to be like him, wanted to know him, wanted him in their lives, despite having lived perfectly well without him for 4 years. After dinner, the promised introduction to Mr. Whiskers took place. The cat, a large orange tabby with amber eyes, studied Marcus with feline suspicion from across the room. He's deciding if he likes you, Diego explained seriously. How will I know? He'll either ignore you, hiss at you, or try to sleep on your face, Elena said dryly. Mr. Whiskers approached cautiously, sniffed Marcus's shoes, and then, to everyone's surprise, jumped directly onto his lap and began purring loudly. He likes you. Isabella clapped her hands delightedly. Mr. Whiskers is very picky, Rosa informed him. He didn't like Mrs. Peterson's boyfriend at all. Rosa, Elena warned. What? It's true! He hissed and hid under the couch. Marcus found himself stroking the cat's fur, surprised by how calming the simple action was. How long have you had him? Since the children were 2, Elena said. I found him as a kitten in the alley behind the hospital where I work. He was so tiny and scared. Another rescue. Marcus was beginning to see a pattern in Elena's life. She collected broken things and healed them. Everyone except him. After dinner, Eleanor orchestrated bedtime with military precision. 6 baths, 6 sets of pajamas, 6 bedtime stories. Marcus watched in amazement as she managed it all with patience and humor, never losing her temper despite the inevitable delays and negotiations. Can Daddy read us a story? Sophia asked as Elena tucked her in. Daddy doesn't know your bedtime stories, Elena said gently. He could learn, Carlos pointed out logically. Marcus looked at Elena hopefully. After a moment, she handed him a well-worn book. They liked this one. The book was The Runaway Bunny, and Marcus could see why it was a favorite. The pages were soft from handling, and several passages had been underlined in different colored pencils, evidence of the children's engagement with the story. For the next 20 minutes, Marcus read to 6 pairs of gray eyes that looked so much like his own. The children hung on every word, occasionally correcting him when he mispronounced a character's name or reminding him to do the voice for different characters. When he finished, Isabella reached up and patted his cheek. You read good, Daddy. Thank you, sweetheart. Will you read to us again tomorrow? Diego asked hopefully. The question hung in the air. Marcus looked at Elena, unsure how to answer. We'll see, Elena said diplomatically. That means maybe yes, Sophia whispered loudly to Marcus, making him smile. One by one, the children settled into sleep. Marcus stood in the doorway watching them, memorizing their peaceful faces. Diego sprawled across his bed like he was claiming territory. Carlos had arranged his stuffed animals in a perfect line. Isabella slept curled up like a tiny ball. Miguel had his thumb in his mouth, a habit Elena whispered he was trying to break. Rosa slept with her arms spread wide, as if embracing her dreams. Sophia had somehow managed to turn completely sideways in her bed. They're beautiful, he whispered to Eleanor. They're everything to me, she replied. My whole world. They walked back to the living room in silence. Marcus felt the weight of the evening settling over him, the magnitude of what he'd discovered, what he'd lost, what he might still lose. Elena poured herself a glass of wine and offered him one, which he accepted gratefully. They sat on opposite ends of her couch, the space between them feeling like an ocean. Thank you, he said finally, for tonight, for letting me meet them. They're your children too, Elena said quietly. Whatever happened between us, that doesn't change. What happens now? Elena was quiet for a long moment, swirling the wine in her glass. I don't know, Marcus. This isn't something I ever planned for. What if I told you I want to be part of their lives? Really part of their lives, not just weekend visits and child support checks? I'd say that sounds good in theory, but reality is different. You have a company to run, a life that doesn't include 6 4-year-olds with very specific needs and schedules. What if I changed my life? Elena looked at him sharply. What do you mean? What if I stepped back from day-to-day operations? Hired people to handle the things that keep me away from what really matters? Marcus, you can't just restructure your entire existence because you had an emotional evening. Can't I? He moved closer to her and she didn't step away. Elena, I've spent 4 years building an empire, and for what? To prove I could succeed without you, to fill the hole you left behind. None of it matters if I don't have family to share it with. We're not your family anymore, she said, but her voice lacked conviction. Those children are my family. They have my eyes, my stubborn streak, my curiosity about the world. And they're part of you, the best part of you. How could they not be my family? Eleanor's eyes filled with tears. Marcus, I can't go through losing you again. And I can't put them through that either. You won't have to. You can't promise that. Life happens. People change. Priorities shift. Some things don't change, Marcus said softly. I never stopped loving you, Elena. Not for a single day in 4 years. The admission hung between them like a bridge. Neither was sure they could cross. Love wasn't our problem, Elena whispered. Trust was. Communication was. You made a life-changing decision for both of us, without including me. How do I know you won't do that again? Marcus set down his wineglass and turned to face her fully. Because I learned what it cost me. And turned to face her fully. Because I learned what it cost me. I learned that trying to protect you from pain just caused us both more pain. I learned that you're stronger than I ever gave you credit for. And I learned that I'm not strong enough to live without you. The children come first, always. If you're in their lives, you're in for the long haul. No changing your mind. No backing out when it gets hard. No putting business before family. I understand. Do you? Do you understand that they wake up at 6 a.m. every day? That they get sick and cranky and demanding? That they fight with each other and sometimes hate their vegetables and occasionally have nightmares? Do you understand that being a parent means your life is no longer your own? Marcus smiled. Elena, I just spent the evening with 6 4-year-olds asking me if I know any superheroes and whether I'm rich enough to buy a pony. I think I'm getting the picture. Despite herself, Elena smiled back. They do like ponies. I noticed. And they're going to test you. Diego will try to negotiate everything. Carlos will want scientific explanations for why he can't do something. Isabella will use her sweetness to get her way. Miguel will quietly observe and then surprise you. Rosa will ask impossible questions, and Sophia will change her mind every 5 minutes about what she wants. They sound like a handful. They are. But they're also the most amazing little people you'll ever meet. Elena stood up and walked to the mantelpiece, picking up a photo of the children on their 4th birthday. Do you want to know what their birth was like? Marcus nodded, unable to speak. I was terrified, Elena continued. The doctors said carrying sextuplets was extremely high risk. I spent the last 2 months on bed rest alone, watching my body change in ways I never imagined possible. When I went into labor, I was so scared, not just for my life, but for theirs. I kept thinking about how you would have handled it, how you would have been strong for both of us. Marcus's hands clenched into fists. Helena? They were so tiny when they were born. Diego was the biggest at 4 pounds 2 ounces. Rosa was the smallest at 2 pounds 8 ounces. They spent weeks in the NICU, hooked up to machines, fighting for every breath. I lived in that hospital, pumping breast milk every 2 hours, reading to them through incubator walls, praying they would all make it home. Tears were streaming down Marcus's face. I should have been there. Yes, you should have, but you weren't, so I did it alone. I brought them home one by one as they grew strong enough. I learned to change 6 diapers, prepare 6 bottles, comfort 6 crying babies on 3 hours of sleep a night. I did it because they were mine and I loved them. But there were nights, Marcus, when I was so exhausted I could barely stand, when I wondered what would have happened if you had known. I would have been there, Marcus said firmly, for all of it. The hospital, the sleepless nights, the fear, the joy, all of it. Would you? Or would you have hired a team of nannies and maintained your distance? The question stung because it forced Marcus to confront his own past behavior. The old Marcus might have done exactly that. I don't know, he admitted. The man I was 4 years ago might have tried to solve it with money and staff. But losing you changed me, Elena. It forced me to examine who I was and who I wanted to be. Elena set the photo down and turned back to him. They're not babies anymore, Marcus. They have opinions, preferences, routines that work for us. You can't just walk in and rearrange everything to suit your schedule. I wouldn't want to. I want to learn their routines. I want to understand what makes each of them unique. I want to be the father they deserve. Eleanor reached out tentatively, covering her hand with his. One step at a time, Marcus. I need to see that you mean it. They need to see that you're not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere, he repeated firmly. I promise you that. Promises are easy to make, Eleanor said. Keeping them is harder. Then let me prove it to you. Both of you, all of you. Elena pulled her hand away gently. It's late. You should go. Marcus nodded, understanding that he'd pushed as far as he could for one night. As he prepared to leave, he turned back to her. Elena, thank you for raising them to be so wonderful, for being such an incredible mother, for giving them your strength and your kindness. They're your children too, Marcus. They have your determination and your intelligence. And your heart, he added. They definitely have your heart. As Marcus left Elena's apartment and stepped into the cool New York night, he felt something he hadn't experienced in 4 years. Hope. Not just hope for reconciliation with Elena. That might be impossible after everything he'd done. But hope for a future that included his children. 6 children he hadn't known existed 12 hours ago. 6 little people who carried pieces of both him and Elena, who asked innocent questions and gave spontaneous hugs and called him Daddy with such natural acceptance that his heart still ached. He pulled out his phone and called James. "Sir, is everything all right? You left the gala rather suddenly. James, I need you to clear my calendar for the next month." "Sir? Your calendar is completely booked. The Peterson merger alone, delegate it, all of it. Find people to handle everything that doesn't absolutely require my personal attention." "Mr. Sterling, I don't understand." Marcus looked back up at the apartment building, where lights were still on in Elena's window. "I just found out I'm a father, James, to sextuplets. 6 4-year-old children who don't know me, and I need to change that." There was silence on the other end of the line. "6 children, sir. 6 children. Congratulations, I think. Thank you. And James, start looking into pediatric hospitals that could use funding, specifically programs for multiple births and high-risk pregnancies." "Of course, sir. Anything else?" Marcus smiled, remembering Sophia's hopeful question about ponies. "Yes, research the feasibility of keeping a pony in Central Park." "I'm sorry, sir, did you say—" "Good night, James." As Marcus rode home in his limousine, he began making mental lists. Tomorrow he would call his lawyers about formally acknowledging paternity and setting up trust funds for all 6 children. He would call his personal shopper about appropriate gifts for 4-year-olds. He would call his real estate agent about finding a real house with a yard and 6 bedrooms, and maybe space for a pony. But first, he would call Eleanor and ask if he could take the children to breakfast, or lunch, or the park, anywhere she would allow him to spend time with them, to learn their personalities, to begin building the relationship he should have had from the beginning. Back in his penthouse, Marcus couldn't sleep. He wandered through rooms that suddenly felt cold and empty, thinking about the warmth of Elena's apartment, the sound of children's laughter, the way Isabella had hugged him without reservation. He'd built this place as a monument to his success, but it felt hollow now. He found himself at his laptop, researching everything he could about raising sextuplets, about child development, about being a father. He read articles about multiple births, watched videos about parenting techniques, and found forums where parents of multiples shared their experiences and advice. As dawn broke over Manhattan, Marcus made his decision. He called his real estate agent. "Richard, it's Marcus Sterling. I need you to find me a house, a real house with a yard, 6 bedrooms minimum, near good schools on the Upper West Side." "Marcus, it's 6 in the morning. I'm aware of the time. This is urgent. And Richard, it needs to be move-in ready. I want to make an offer by the end of the week." Eleanor woke to the sound of excited voices in the kitchen. The children were already up, chattering about their evening with their father. "Mommy, Daddy read us the bunny story," Sophia announced the moment Elena appeared. "And he said maybe about the pony," Diego added hopefully. "He has nice eyes like us," Isabella observed quietly. "I think he was sad because he missed us growing up," Carlos said with 4-year-old wisdom. Elena poured her coffee and listened to her children process their emotions about meeting Marcus. They were resilient, adaptable, but she also knew how easily their hearts could be broken. Her phone rang. "Marcus." "Eleanor? I know it's early, but I was wondering, could I take the children to breakfast? Or to the park? I'd like to spend more time with them." Helena looked at 6 eager faces watching her hopefully. "Hold on." She covered the phone. "Would you like to see your father again today?" The unanimous yes was immediate and enthusiastic. "We'll meet you at the park near our building in an hour," Eleanor said. The playground was relatively empty in the early morning, giving Marcus space to really interact with each child individually. He pushed them on swings, helped them navigate the climbing structure, and found himself genuinely enjoying their endless energy and curiosity. "Daddy, watch me go down the big slide," Diego called out, already halfway up the ladder. "Be careful," Marcus called back, surprised by his immediate parental instincts. "He's fine," Elena said, settling on a bench nearby. "He's fine," Elena said, settling on a bench nearby. "He's been going down that slide since he was 3. Marcus joined her on the bench, watching as all 6 children played together with the natural coordination that came from a lifetime of shared experiences. "They're amazing," he said softly. "They are. And they're already attached to you. I hope you understand what that means. It means I can never let them down again. Marcus, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest." He turned to face her fully. "Anything. Are you doing this because you genuinely want to be their father, or because you feel guilty about the past?" The question caught him off guard. "What do you mean?" "I mean, are you here because you love those 6 children for who they are, or because you feel obligated to make amends for leaving me?" Marcus was quiet for a long moment, watching his children play. Diego was helping Isabella reach a higher rung on the monkey bars. Carlos was patiently explaining the physics of the seesaw to Miguel. Rosa was collecting leaves, while Sophia changed her mind about which swing she wanted to use. "Both," he said finally. "I do feel guilty about the past. I feel guilty about missing their births, their first words, their first steps. I feel guilty about the nights you stayed awake alone with 6 crying babies. I feel guilty about every birthday, every scraped knee, every bedtime story I missed." Eleanor's eyes filled with tears. "But," Marcus continued, "watching them last night, seeing their personalities, their intelligence, their kindness, Eleanor, they're incredible human beings. And they're mine. Not because of biology, but because when Isabella hugged me, something inside me recognized her. When Diego asked me about superheroes, I wanted to be his hero. When Carlos asked scientific questions, I wanted to have all the answers. I don't just feel guilty about the past. I'm excited about the future. Mommy, Daddy, come push us on the merry-go-round," Rosa called out. Together, Marcus and Elena walked over to where all 6 children had climbed onto the spinning playground equipment. Working in unison, they pushed the merry-go-round, their hands occasionally brushing as they walked around the circumference. "Faster, faster," the children shouted with glee. "They're going to make themselves sick," Elena laughed. "Worth it to hear them laugh like that," Marcus replied. After the merry-go-round, Marcus found himself naturally dividing his attention between the children, learning their different needs and preferences. Diego wanted to race him to the fence. Carlos wanted to examine interesting rocks. Isabella needed help tying her shoe. Miguel was content to walk quietly beside him. Rosa wanted to tell him elaborate stories about the other children at the playground. Sophia changed her mind 3 times about which piece of playground equipment she wanted to try next. "You're good at this," Elena observed as Marcus listened patiently to Rosa's detailed explanation of why the blue swing was better than the red one. "I'm learning," Marcus replied. "They make it easy. They're so open, so trusting. They want a father, Marcus. They've always wanted a father. But they also need consistency. They need someone who will be there for school plays and soccer games and midnight fevers. They need someone who won't disappear when work gets busy or life gets complicated." "I understand." "And Elena, I want you to know I've already started making changes. I've cleared my calendar for the next month. I've asked James to start delegating my day-to-day responsibilities. I'm looking at houses with yards and multiple bedrooms." Elena stopped walking. "You're what?" "I'm restructuring my life to make room for what really matters. For them, and if you'll let me, for you too. Marcus, you can't just upend your entire existence." "Why not? What good is any of it if I don't have family to share it with?" After 2 hours at the park, the children were getting tired and hungry. Marcus suggested lunch at a nearby family restaurant, and Elena agreed. Watching Marcus navigate a restaurant with 6 4-year-olds was both amusing and touching. He helped them read the kids' menu, negotiated drink choices, and managed to keep them relatively contained despite their excitement. "Daddy, will you come to my school?" Isabella asked suddenly. "Your school?" "We have show and tell next week. I want to tell everyone about my daddy." The simple request hit Marcus harder than any business negotiation ever had. "If your mommy says it's okay, I'd love to come to your school." "Can he, Mommy, please?" 6 pairs of eyes turned to Elena hopefully. "We'll see," Elena said diplomatically. Over lunch, Marcus learned more about their daily routines. They went to a Montessori preschool 3 days a week. Elena worked at the hospital 2 days a week, and her mother helped with childcare on those days. They had swimming lessons on Saturdays and went to the Children's Museum on Sundays. "What do you do for fun?" Marcus asked Elena. "Fun?" Elena laughed. "When you have 6 4-year-olds, their fun becomes your fun, We go to the zoo, the aquarium, story time at the library. We have dance parties in the living room and build blanket forts on rainy days. Marcus tried to imagine Elena dancing with the children, reading them stories, building forts. The image filled him with warmth and longing. "I'd like to be part of that," he said quietly. "The everyday things, not just special occasions." Elena studied his face carefully. "That's a big commitment, Marcus." "I know. They go to bed at 7:30. They wake up at 6. They eat dinner at 5:30 sharp because if we wait until 6, someone has a meltdown. They have specific routines for everything: baths, bedtime, morning prep. Your life would completely revolve around their needs." "Good," Marcus said firmly. "It should revolve around their needs. Their children. They should be the priority. And when you have an important business meeting during Sophia's dance recital. Then I miss the meeting. When Carlos gets sick at school and needs to be picked up during your board presentation. Then someone else gives the presentation." Elena shook her head. "It sounds simple when you say it like that, but it's not. Parenting is relentless, Marcus. There are no breaks, no days off, no putting your needs first. Elena, I've spent 4 years putting my needs first and I've been miserable. I want to put their needs first. I want to be the father they deserve." As they prepared to leave the restaurant, Sophia had a complete meltdown. She was tired, overstimulated, and couldn't decide which toy she wanted to take home from the restaurant's prize machine. She threw herself on the floor crying and kicking, completely inconsolable. Elena knelt down calmly, not touching Sophia but speaking to her in a quiet, soothing voice. "Sophia, I know you're tired and frustrated. It's okay to have big feelings. When you're ready, we can figure this out together." Marcus watched, amazed by Elena's patience, as Sophia continued to cry loudly, drawing stares from other restaurant patrons. The other 5 children gathered around, used to their sister's occasional meltdowns. "Is she okay?" Marcus asked, feeling helpless. "She's fine. She's 4 and she's had a big day with lots of changes. This is how she processes stress," Elena explained calmly. "What can I do?" "Nothing. Just wait it out. Don't try to fix it or rush her. She needs to feel her feelings." For 10 minutes, Marcus stood there while Sophia cried, feeling the judgment of other diners, wanting to somehow make it stop. But Elena remained calm and patient, occasionally offering Sophia quiet reassurance, but never trying to force her to stop crying. Finally, Sophia's sobs subsided. Elena helped her sit up. "Are you feeling better, sweetheart?" Sophia nodded, hiccuping slightly. "Can you use your words to tell me what you need?" "I want the purple unicorn," Sophia whispered. Elena got the purple unicorn from the prize machine, and Sophia hugged it tightly. "Crisis over. Does this happen often?" Marcus asked as they walked home. "With 6 children? Someone has a meltdown at least once a week. Usually when they're tired or hungry or overwhelmed. It's completely normal." Marcus realized he'd just witnessed his first real test of parenting patience, and Elena had handled it with grace, while he'd felt completely out of his depth. Back at Elena's apartment, the children were content to play quietly with their new toys while the adults talked. Marcus helped Elena prepare their afternoon snacks, feeling domestic in a way he'd never experienced. "I have a confession," Elena said as she cut apple slices. "What? I looked you up online last night, after you left." Marcus tensed. "And your net worth has tripled since our divorce. Sterling Industries went public last year. You're on the cover of Forbes this month." "Elena, I'm not bringing it up to make you feel bad. I'm bringing it up because I need to know. Is this some kind of midlife crisis? Some wealthy man's attempt to buy meaning by playing house with ready-made children?" Marcus set down the knife he'd been using to slice cheese. "Do you really think so little of me? I think you're capable of convincing yourself that your motives are pure when they might be more complicated. My motives are simple, Elena. I love you. I never stopped loving you. And those 6 children are the most remarkable people I've ever met. I want to be part of their lives because they're mine and I'm theirs, in every way that matters." Elena studied his face for a long moment. "What about when the novelty wears off? What about when you realize that parenting is 90% mundane routine and 10% actual joy?" "Then I'll love the mundane routine too, because it's with them." As if to test his resolve, Diego appeared in the kitchen covered in marker ink. "Diego, what happened?" Elena sighed. I was drawing a picture for Daddy and the marker exploded, Diego explained matter-of-factly. Elena looked at Marcus expectantly, as if wondering how he'd handle this small domestic crisis. Marcus knelt down to Diego's level. Let's go get you cleaned up, buddy. And next time maybe we use washable markers. Okay, Daddy. As Marcus led Diego to the bathroom to wash off the ink, Elena felt something shift inside her chest. Marcus hadn't gotten angry, hadn't called for her to handle it, hadn't treated it like a major catastrophe. He'd simply stepped in and dealt with it like any parent would. That evening, as the children played in their room, Elena made a decision. Marcus, I want you to understand something. If you're going to be part of their lives, you need to be all in. Not just when it's convenient, not just when it's fun. All in. I understand. I'm going to give you a chance to prove that. But if you hurt them, if you make promises you can't keep or disappear when things get difficult, I will protect them from you. Do you understand? Marcus nodded solemnly. I understand. And Elena, I give you my word. I will never hurt them. I'll never leave them. They deserve better than I gave you, and I'm going to make sure they get it. Elena took a deep breath. Okay, let's try this. One day at a time. As Marcus prepared to leave, all 6 children insisted on hugging him goodbye. As he held them, he made a silent promise to each one. To Diego, I will never be too busy to answer your questions or join your adventures. To Carlos, I will always encourage your curiosity and help you understand the world. To Isabella, I will protect your gentle heart and show you that you are worthy of love. To Miguel, I will listen to your quiet wisdom and give you space to be yourself. To Rosa, I will celebrate your spirit and support your dreams, no matter how big they are. To Sophia, I will love all your different sides and help you discover who you want to be. And to Elena, I will prove to you every day that I am worthy of their trust and your forgiveness. Marcus Sterling, Billionaire CEO, had built an empire from nothing. Now he faced his greatest challenge yet, proving to 6 small children and 1 wounded woman that he could be the father and partner they deserved. The billionaire who had frozen upon seeing his barren ex-wife with sextuplets had discovered something more valuable than all his wealth combined. The chance to be a father to 6 incredible children who called her mommy, and who might, if he proved worthy, someday call him daddy with the same natural love. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new tests of his commitment, new opportunities to show that he meant every word he'd spoken. But tonight, Marcus Sterling went to sleep with his heart full of hope, and his mind full of plans for the future he was determined to build with his newfound family. If this story touched your heart, smash that like button and subscribe for more emotional stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat. We're so close to 10,000 subscribers. Help us reach our goal by hitting that notification bell. What do you think will happen between Marcus and Elena? Will he prove himself worthy of being their father? Let us know in the comments below.